Thanks for your responses. But we have to take a break from hearing more so as to move to the next item on the program. But remember, you still have two 20-minute sections left in which to have a say. I will now perform the second poem called Voters' Lament. It was written over 5 days, August 11 to 15, 2013, and it tells of corrupt politicians, the consequences of bad governance and the neglect of the electoral process by voters. In short, Voters' Lament is the statement of Jamaica's political problem. Please listen very carefully. Please don't knock some politicians too hard when you find out that they are fraud. It's just a fact of the matter, they can't do any better. Consider how they grow in their yard. We see them connect a party group, position themselves at the head of the troop, not having reverence, not showing common sense, by even trying to understand the importance of good governance. So when to hanky-panky they stoop, don't shake your head or make it droop. Remember you are in on the scoop. Public servants, politicians are called, but some use it as a face card to grab all they can, disrespect man and woman whom they claim don't fit in their plan. Having no consideration for future generations, they claim they are building nation. But remember, you have been warned. So help me raise the alarm. On the other side of the coin, it is the voters who allow that kind to be elected to Parliament, collecting perks and payments while not qualified to represent. It really is quite a shame. But tell me, who is to be blamed when on election day, from the polls you say, giving the minority their way? So please, don't knock some politicians too hard when you find out that they are fraud. It's just a fact of the matter, they can't do any better. Consider how they grow in their yard. Voters' Lament. Many of the persons with whom I speak who don't vote tell me that their reason for not voting is because they see politics and politicians as being corrupt, and so they will not have anything to do with the process. The reason why corruption flourishes is because people who know better do not take a stand for equal rights and justice. They seem to be afraid of speaking and acting for the betterment of themselves and their fellow citizens. I have a few questions for those of you who think that politics is corrupt. Are you corrupt? Do you think you would make a good politician? Do you know anyone who would be a good politician? Do you realize that politicians are the ones who manage the affairs of a country? Are you willing to sit idly by and allow corrupt people, politicians, to run your country? Do you realize that by not voting or by voting for corrupt politicians, you allow the country to be mismanaged? There are many more questions that can be asked of those who refuse to vote. But the reality is this: the country cannot govern itself. It must be governed by people who are called politicians. For example, almost every Jamaican uses petroleum oil in some form, whether it is cooking gas, kerosene oil, or by taking public transportation or their own private transportation that use engine oil plus gasoline or diesel. Jamaica does not produce oil. We must buy it from foreign countries such as Venezuela, Trinidad, or Iraq. When it comes to us, it is in a raw state known as crude oil. It must then be refined at the only place in the island that is able to do so. the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica, Petrojam, which is operated by the government. Now, can any of us on our own buy crude oil from Trinidad, Venezuela, or Iraq? Do any of us have the facility to refine crude oil so as to get cooking gas, kerosene oil, engine oil, gasoline, or diesel from it? I am sure you will all agree that the answer to both questions is no. It therefore is reasonable to state that we need an elected government to negotiate on our behalf so that we will be able to purchase crude oil and refine it for the benefit of our citizens and visitors. How then will we get a good government if we refuse to make wise choices in the election process? Or worse, not participate in the process at all? I am convinced that everyone who has reached the age of 18 years should get enumerated and vote at election time. The website of the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, states, and I quote, "The voters' list is a fundamental component of any voting system. The primary purpose of the voters' list is to confirm the eligibility of voters to participate in parliamentary and local government elections. The voters' list is printed every 6 months, May 31 and November 30 each year." End of quote. By voting, you will be fulfilling the provision of Article 21 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the United Nations that states, Section 1, everyone has the right to take part in the government of his country, directly or through freely chosen representatives. Section 2, everyone has the right to equal access to public service in his country. Section 3, the will of the people shall be the basis for authority of government. This will shall be expressed in periodic and genuine elections, which shall be by universal and equal suffrage, and shall be held by secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures. End of quote. This is known as universal adult suffrage, which we in Jamaica received in 1944. Before then, only a select few could vote, and during slavery, 1494 to 1838, the vast majority of the population of Jamaica could not vote. Please note that I state the date of slavery from the coming of Christopher Columbus in 1494 to the end of the English enforced apprenticeship system in 1838. The full interpretation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the United Nations, Article 21 quoted earlier, shows that we can participate directly. That means by being an elected representative, a politician, or we can elect representatives, politicians, freely. So now, what are you going to do to ensure no corrupt politician is elected? I know what I am going to do. Please look at the line graph, which shows political voting trends in Jamaica since universal adult suffrage in 1944. Up to the general elections of 2011 on the national level. The black line states the number of registered voters. That's this one on the top here. The red line shows the number of persons who actually vote, whilst the blue lines that run across horizontally separate voters in 200,000 blocks. So far, there have been 16 general elections, with the number of each year printed at the bottom, from 1944 through to 2011. Now notice that the number of electors on the voters list, the black line, is always higher than the number of persons, percentage of persons who actually vote, the red line. The highest percentage that voted was 86.91% in 1980, with the lowest being 29.48% in 1983, when the opposition TNT, led by former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Michael Manley, boycotted the elections. Realize also that in 1944, the total number of electors on the list was 663,069, of which 389,109, that's 58.7%, voted. And in 2011, the number of electors was 1,648,036. That is more than twice those that were on the voters list in 1944. Yet, only 876,310 voted. That's 53.17%. Actually, 5.52% less than what voted in 1944. In 1962, here we are, just prior to us attaining partial independence from Britain on the 6th of August, 72.88% of 796,540 electors voted. Citizens, by not voting, we are allowing time and money to be wasted. Our hard-earned money. Remember, we pay taxes that are used to print voters' lists and ballot papers, and pay election day workers, such as presiding officers, poll clerks, and auxiliary police officers, among others. The figure for local government elections shows a wider margin between the number of electors on the list and those who actually vote. An extreme case was seen in the March 26, 2012 local government elections at one polling station in the Whitehouse Division, Westmoreland Eastern, that had 263 registered electors, of which only 29 voted. That is 11.03%, less than 12 out of every 100. What a waste of time and money. And then people complain about poor governance when they did nothing to change it for better. The poem you just heard, Voters is Lament, speaks of politicians who don't even try to understand the importance of good governance. Let me explain good governance. It is the process of administration that includes everyone in the community or society for the benefit of everyone. It is not influenced by individual personalities, political affiliation, wealth, religion, or social standing. Under the heading of good governance, everyone is treated equally and is utilized according to their ability to contribute to the greater good of the community or society. On the other hand, poor or corrupt governance pushes aside those who are known to have or thought to have different opinions from the one in charge, that is to say, the elected politician, even though those persons may be the ones with the knowledge and resources to manifest a particular project that is for the greater good of the community or society. This is what is meant by cutting off your nose to spite your face. It is a foolish approach, to say the least. Another foolish approach to getting elected is the illegal system of vote buying and vote selling, which comes with many faces. For example, offering to take someone to the polling station on election day with intention for them to vote for you is a form of vote buying. I remember during the 2012 local government elections campaign, a man asked me what if his mother is ill and needs transportation to go and vote, if I, as a candidate, wouldn't provide it. I responded by telling him that I am sure he takes his mother to church and to the doctor whenever she needs to go. So I don't see why I must provide for her to go and vote, especially as I have no way of knowing whom she will vote for, as she cannot show me her ballot. Furthermore, she should be going to vote because she has an interest in ensuring good governance is achieved through the polls. Citizens, it is against the law to buy votes. It is a corrupt practice that we all must keep away from if we want our country to practice. Now let us review the proper way to cast a vote. Some people think that the voting process is wrong because it is an X that is used to mark the ballot. This is a misconception. The truth of the matter is this: the universally accepted mark to show the exact position of an object is the symbol X. It refers to the point where one line intersects another, that is, cross the other. As the saying goes, X marks the spot. Let me prove it with geometry, which is a branch of mathematics that is concerned with shapes. I will construct an equilateral triangle, which is a triangle in which all three sides are equal and all three angles are equal to 60 degrees each. Please look at the whiteboard. First, I will draw a line. Doesn't matter the length of the line. There we have a line. Then, I will use my compass to measure the line. One point of the compass on one end, the pencil on the other. Then I will mark an arc in the area that I think where I would like to put the other point of the triangle. Put the points of the compass on the other side and make an arc. There we have an X. Now, I will connect a line from the center of the X to one end of the first line I drew. I will then connect another line from the center of the X to the other side of the triangle, of the first line I drew rather. There we have a triangle. Now, I know some of you like to gamble, but if you bet against me when I tell you that all three sides are equal in length and all three angles are equal to 60 degrees, you will lose, all because we marked an X and started from the center of the X. You will see that it is right to make an X if you want to mark the exact spot. And so it is when voting. Look at these sample ballots. If the X falls on the line between two boxes, it will be counted as being rejected. Likewise, if the X falls outside of all the boxes for the candidates, it will also be counted as being rejected. It will also be counted as being rejected if more than one X is placed on the ballot paper, or if a mark is placed on the ballot paper which could determine who was the person who made the mark. The only sure way to make your mark count is to place one X on the ballot paper in a box beside one candidate only. However, if your ballot was spoiled, you made a mistake, and you came back to the presiding officer and told them you made a mistake, they will take back that ballot, give you another one, write that one as spoiled, and then you will be able to vote. But remember, it will only be counted if it is marked for one candidate and one candidate only within the designated spot. Also, remember, on election day, take your national ID card to the polling station and obey all the instructions of the presiding officer. Concerning the founding of political parties in Jamaica, it was the Right Excellent Marcus Messiah Garvey, Jamaica's first national hero, who founded Jamaica's first political party in 1929, known as the People's Political Party, the PPP. 9 years later, in 1938, the Right Excellent National Hero, Norman Washington Manley, founded Jamaica's second political party, the People's National Party, the PNP. While the Right Excellent National Hero, Sir Alexander Bustamante, founded Jamaica's third political party, the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, in 1942. So, we now know the name of Jamaica's original third party. By the way, the Right Excellent Marcus Messiah Garvey also founded Jamaica's first trade union, the Jamaica Workers and Laborers Association, JWLA, in 1930. I take a break as we go into the second section for audience response, which will also last 20